Hello, welcome back to the Fox Trans Performance YouTube channel. I am Taylor Fox, and we are back at Powerbuild Warrington for another leg day. So I'm starting off with some hip bridge ISO holds. Not like a huge fan of this exercise in general, but I do like it as a variation with the ISO hold at the top. Really get the glutes going and like hold that hip extension position. I feel like it's great to get the glutes firing, but then also a real positive for the knees as well. I like a lot of ISO hold type of stuff to prioritize knee health, and I think it also like helps with the lower back, like getting those muscles to stabilize and doing that ISO hold type of thing just really stabilizes the pelvis and puts you in a good state to have a successful leg day. And these are explosive step ups. I'm trying to build in some more explosive work, but trying to kind of keep it low impact at the moment, so nothing crazy. But I think these are good. They get the body moving, a little bit of like a hip flexor, glute, contralateral action, and then just getting a little bit of pop going before doing some legs. So given that I've been doing like a little more of like hypertrophy focus, I wouldn't say it's really a bodybuilding split, but I'm gonna pre-exhaust my squats with leg extensions, and again we're gonna incorporate a little bit of an ISO hold at the end of these sets. So high reps, really getting the blood flowing through the muscle, full range of motion, good tempo, but nothing like overly crazy. Just a nice, slow and controlled set for high reps, and then at the end we'll hold. I try to do about like 15 to 20 reps, and then anywhere between 10 to 20-second holds. I kind of like the idea of like a 15 rep set with a 15-second hold at the end. I actually don't really remember what I did here, but it was definitely like a decent bit of time. And like once you start to like lower slowly at the end of this, like it doesn't feel great. So that was fun. We're gonna get another set on this. This is the max pump leg extension, so they put this in at the Warrington location, and it's interesting. It's like kind of wedged right up against another leg extension, but it was the best way to get everything to fit with a good layout. The best that it could possibly be with all the machines that are in here. So you're kind of like you can see there on my left, like that's the next machine over, so you can be literally like you're not right up against somebody, but you kind of are because the machines are stacked right next to each other, just pumping out the quads and doing leg extensions. So it's interesting. And then we got the ISO hold here at the end again, and then we're going to transition over to the Rogers Athletic Power Squat Pro, which I think if you're doing like, you do have to load this up a decent bit, but if you're into like safety bar squatting, or training for like yoke or something like that, like this is a good alternative to barbell squatting because I was like pretty shot after doing two barbell squat sessions the week before this, and kind of realized I was like, yeah, that's probably a little much with the diet, but I was like, my periodization can kind of be like 2 days of squat, then a day, and then maybe a week where I don't do barbell squat at all based on how I feel. So I was like, let's just incorporate this, work up to some heavy sets of 8 to 10, and then call it a day when we're done with that. I certainly didn't do that though. I hit a decent bit of volume and then did some back downs, and I'm like, oh man, this might actually be more difficult than the barbell squats. It was interesting. I did put a rep fitness like soft top box pad on the floor here. I probably in hindsight would have gone with two saw mats, but I was like, this is already tall enough. I'm just going to use this. The only issue is that it was like cushiony, which I thought like would be good in stability wise. It was also just kind of annoying. But otherwise, like the height and everything, like just so I could get more range of motion on this was nice. And I felt pretty good about these sets overall. Kind of biased towards the lower end of the movement, but I still loaded the top post as well. So we're kind of evening it out. The weight just a bit, but again, you can see like most of the weight is biased towards the bottom end, and really just trying to like work on the glutes, work on the hamstrings and the bottom of the squat. Like, you know, you see like I pre-exhausted the movement with the quad work, so we blew the quads up, and then we're kind of like sitting back more into what I would normally do for like a powerlifting squat or like, you know, box squat, kind of training for strongman the way I do with that. So I felt pretty good with these. Now we're getting into the drop sets where I kind of tried to do like a piston style for majority of the set. Usually I'll try to break it up in half. So if it's a set of 10, do 5 reps, constant tension, and then lock that rep out, reset, and then do another 5. And the same thing with sets of 12, do 6 reps, really keep that tension on, don't completely lock out. And then once we're done with that, we'll lock out completely halfway through the set, just take a little bit of a reset, and then do the same thing again to finish the set. And every time I finished these, it was like just drop the apparatus back into the rack. Like, definitely a lot of tension and building things up with these squats, and I felt it. And these were also giant sets that I did as well. Like I did them with the banded hamstring curl, and I did them with the ab bridges, and I really didn't want to, but then I was like, you just got to do it. So I did it and got through them, but I didn't really feel like it was necessary to film all that, so I just filmed the squats and get that content out. But I've done other videos with the hamstring curls, and I don't feel like it's anything worth watching over and over again. But then we moved on to these. I really like this exercise a lot on this one. I've tried it on the Atlantis B squat, and it doesn't really work as well. The Bodybuilder machine, you can like adjust the foot plate so you can make it completely level, and I feel like that's really what I need for this variation is a flat surface. And then you really try to, you know, put all the load into that front foot. I was like trying to toe tap for a while, but I just find it easier to control the best that I can, and I'm really putting all the force into that front leg. So the back leg really isn't doing anything. You may think like there's a little bit of a push off, but there really isn't. It's just I'm just putting the foot down so that I can kind of stabilize, and then once I hit the ground, I put all that force output from the glute and my quad and press up, and it's pretty brutal. I would usually like to add a little bit more weight for these, so do the squats and then add a plate each side for the good mornings. But I was like, I'm just gonna try to get these done as quickly as possible, so I went from one to the other and just did more reps, really just trying to bang out like 15, which I think was a great like burnout for the hamstrings, like really push the hamstrings after all of this other work, just with some high reps and get a ton of blood flow. I always try to struggle with the hams. Like I was recently doing, you know, the kneeling leg curl, and I just got like a bad cramp in my hamstring. It just seems like every time I try to train them hard, like I typically hit a threshold where I just cramp up or have some issue and just kind of have to stop. and it's pretty brutal. Like, yeah, I focus on hydration, of course, and everything, but it just seems like with the anterior pelvic tilt, like my hamstrings are on tension. I train them because that's kind of more my weaker aspect, and but they're so on tension that like they just cramp up when I put a ton of stimulus into them. It's like, oh well, like I'm tight. I gotta stretch, I guess, and also hydrate better. Or whatever. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Until next time, keep lifting those heavy weights and hold strong.